What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming. I'm Isaiah. Today we're going to be talking about a battle that happened a long time ago in a place very far away from us as we finally get our first game of Star Wars Shatterpoint to the table. Well, not our first game, but our first game to film. It's a lot of fun. Bear with me as I'm still sorting out the best way to go about filming this new game. Hope you enjoy. Let's go take a look at the board and all that other good stuff, and let's get into this game of Star Wars Shatterpoint. For Wargamers, it's finally here. The day is finally here. I got my friend Chris Wave, and we're going to play some Star Wars Shatterpoint. So right now on the table, the initial setup, not counting the terrain. Normally the terrain would come later, but we just already had it on the board from a practice game, and we didn't. Just going to leave it where it is for the sake of ease of our lives. So these inactive gray dots always go in the same place. They're 4 up, and then 4 over, and 4 up from this one. This one is 4, and then the rest of them are 5 apart. The rest of them are 5 apart from that. And when I say 5, I mean the widget system. The game uses a widget system, much like Marvel Crisis Protocol, also from Atomic Mass. Yep, so they lay out just like that right there. And then once we've got this set up, we've got these 3 things right here, which are going to be our struggles. We're going to randomly draw 1 card from each of these without looking at them. So 3, 2, 1. The object of the game is to win struggles. There are 3 struggles in the match, and the goal is to get 2 out of 3 of them. This is how we keep track of that score. We're not going to talk about that right now because we're not keeping score of anything right now. We'll talk about that when we actually score some points so that we can get into the dice roll. And I have my team from the starter box, which is the light side. He has his team from the starter box, which is the dark side. And we're going to get into this priority roll, where we're each going to roll 5. Yep. 5 of the gray dice, which are your attack dice. And we are looking first and foremost for crits, which I have none.
I've got 1, which means I take
and
priority.
He's got 1. So on these dices, we have crits, hits,
And
fails, and expertise are the 4 sides of these dice. He has the priority, so he will place his first unit. His first unit is placed here. My first unit is placed here. When you place your unit, your leader goes in up to 2, and then the other guys have to be within 1, which is the short side of the stick. My friends end up here. The rest of Chris's friends end up there, and then we are prepared to move. Now, one thing before we move into the play, let's talk real quick about unit composition. So on the back of these guys, they'll say a few things that are important to us. They'll say whether it's a primary unit, a supporting unit, or a secondary unit. If it is a primary unit, it will have an SP at the top of it. That is the amount of PC, point cost, that you have to spend on your secondary and supporting units to go with his group, fire team, strike team, whatever the official word is. You can't have repeats of the same thing in your strike team. So, like, you can't have 2 groups of 501st Clone Troopers or 2 Captain Rexes or whatever like that. That's how your list building unit composition fits together. Flip our first struggle, which is this one, and he gets to pick. Or the first one is always just a set, yep. Right? The first one. So the ones that are orange, we flip to active. And this one. Yep. Okay. First struggle. Now, as another starting point, we have our force pools, which are the number of force that we generate per trip through our Shatterpoint deck. Now, this is one of the things about this game that I think is super cool, is that your initiative, the order you activate your models, is randomized. So you draw from the deck, and whoever's picture that is, you get to do stuff with them. There is one, what's called a Shatterpoint card in the deck, which is a wild card, which allows you to activate anybody you want. Yep, this is what it looks like. That's your wild card. That's the initiative. So he's going to flip a Shatterpoint. That's not really great to have this early in the round, I feel like.
And I'm going to go ahead and start by spending a force to put that in reserve.
Okay, good. All right, so there's a rule called reserve where you can spend a force, and then you can put that card to the side, kind of tap, and you can call on it later on. Then you draw a different card.
We're going to go with Kalani.
Kalani, who has a tactic that will happen. That symbol means that they have an ability or a tactic, something that's going to happen at the start of their special ability. Is that all allied or droid units within 4 show us what 4, so that's what a 4 looks like, gets to make a dash. There are only 2 kinds of movement in the game. There's a dash, which uses this widget, and there is a regular movement, which uses that widget. Everybody moves one of those 2 things when they move. So these droids get to make a free one of those. What Kalani will do after moving is spend 1 force to have a droid make a dash. So this droid can dash, and if you're within 1 of an ingress or a ladder, you can go up at the end of your move and place yourself within 1 of it. So that droid gets up to the top of the house. To get a hunker token, which gives you an extra defense dice against basically a shooting attack. At the end of that turn, Chris will gain control of 2 objectives. However, he does not score for them because as the first player of the game, you do not score on that first activation. So it comes to me, where I'm gonna get my Mandalorians. So my clan cries Mandalorians get to move. They're part of a unit, so they move and do all their stuff at the same time. One of them moves up here to grab that objective. This one moves this way, doesn't quite make it to the objective, and that's all they're going to be able to do. So let's go look at this. So I will score 1 point. So we move the clear one towards me. So we move it there. When the clear one overlaps one of your black ones, you win that struggle, and the goal is to win 2 out of 3 of the struggles. Mandalorians come up next for Chris. They're going to make a move, make a play upfield. So they move up and then spend another force to jump pack. Even though they're on the wrong elevation right here, they are still within 2 of that objective, so they claim it. So he'll score 3.
1, 2, 3. So 1, 2,
3. And on to me, where I'm going to get a Shatterpoint. I'm going to spend a force to put that in reserve.
Okay.
Bo-Katan. So Boka uses her tactic to allow this Mandalorian to move on to the objective. She then moves, and at the end of her move, gains a focus because she ended within 2 of this guy, which will give her an extra dice on her attack roll. She then gets, after she focuses, gets to make a dash where she ends at the bottom of the ladder and climbs up to that level to then take a shot at the droids. Now roll the dice. I've got 7 dice. He's got 6 because of hunker and cover from me shooting up a level.
Ooh, that's good.
Mine is not good.
I've got 4 blocks and 2 fails.
Everything out just about. I had 1 crit and 1 hit, and he had a bunch of blocks. The blocks don't block crits. You can't block a crit. They always go through. So I get one hit, which relates to 1 spot on the damage track. So I will deal 2 damage to the Roger Rogers. Score 2 for the objectives that I control, which moves this clear one back to 0. Because it ends on 0, we both get a momentum. Ventress moves up, doesn't really do a whole lot, and it comes back to me, where I'm going to get Annie. I activate Anakin, who moves and then does a force jump to here, ingresses up the ladder, ends within 2, and since even though he has more models within 2 of this, because I'm on the correct elevation with it, I seize control, which moves the clear one back to 0, and we both get a momentum. Mandalorians jump up here, and the first one will swing at Annie. Over here, he's got 2 crits and a hit. I've got 2 blocks. So my block will deal with that, and the crits will still go through because you can't block a crit. So I end up with 3 more damage, a strain, which means I got to basically give up my movement or take some damage, and a disarm, which means I cannot use expertise on my next attack. Take the objective, moving it back his way 3. Boga moves, spends a force to force speed, which gets her to the bottom of the ladder. She's allowed to climb up and then engage with the droids, who will lose their hunker because they're in engagement. This is my roll. I have a crit, 2 hits, 3 expertise, and a miss, a fail. With the expertise, we look at the chart. So my lightsaber, I got 3 expertise, 3 or 4 is 2 extra crits. He got 2 blocks, so that'll take away my 2 extra hits, my 2 basic hits, and my 3 crits push 2 points, moving the clear one back towards me 2. Because at the end of my turn, it's still in his half of the field, I get an extra black momentum. Saxon moves up, takes a shot at Anakin. Anakin rolled 3 dodges and expertise, and there was a fail as well. But we don't count that. That expertise becomes a hit and drops one of his crits to a regular. Also, because he rolled a failure, he takes 2 damage from deflect as my lightsaber plinks part of the laser shell back at him. I'm going to take out 4 of his hits, leaving him with 3 on the damage track. Hits up Annie. Did you have a shove?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. That's why he's back further. I didn't know if I had bumped him or if you had a shove. So he shoves him back there, gets me to a wounded state. When he gets wounded, Ashoka gets a free move. If she could have gotten to Gar Saxon, she could have had an attack, but she couldn't get that far. With the troopers, I spend a force to dash with defensive maneuvers. They dash and get a hunker, and then I take my regular move action, and now I'm going to be shooting at this guy. So these guys shoot, don't really do a whole lot. We put, what, 3 damage?
3 damage, a strain, and a pin.
3 damage, a strain, and a pin. And, however, because they attacked, he can spend a force to make a dash and then attack at that same target with 5 dice. Alright, not great for me. I got 4 hits.
I got 3 blocks after my expertise.
Okay, so
1 goes through.
1 goes through, moves, does a force speed, pulls the clone trooper to him, giving him an exposed and getting rid of his hunker. And then he's going to swing 2 blocks. It's going to be probably going to kill the troopers, or going to injure the trooper. Injures the trooper and should end the struggle. So we'll go to the second. I lost the first struggle, which is rapidly becoming a habit. I get to pick the orientation of the second one. So we're going to do this one, which means that the 2 on my side and the 1 in the middle on his side are the active. And then at the beginning of, before you draw your card from the deck, you roll a dice to see who's going to activate, or which one of those is going to be the active one for you. I rolled this, which means it's this one, which means this is the active. Use my Shatterpoint here, and that's your wild card again. I'm going to use my Shatterpoint to activate the Clan Kryz Mandalorians. Bring them to here and here, and then I'm going to take some shots. With this Mandalorian, shooting into that Mandalorian. I had 2 expertise, which gives me an extra hit and a crit. He's got 2 blocks, so we'll pull 2 of those away. We're going to get 3 stops on the damage track. That went pretty well. We got 3 damage, a shove, and a disarm, which will allow him to not use his expertise on his next attack. We'll come to this one, who's going to shoot at the Roger Rogers. Ended up with 2 crits, 3 hits to his 2 blocks. So again, it'll be 3 on the track. Ends up being 3 damage, which is enough to injure them, along with a shove and a disarm on the droids as well. At the end of that activation, nothing else I can do there. So at the end of that activation, I'm going to claim both this and this, which is going to move it 3 towards me because I control the special one. And then I got 2 on my momentum track because I injured 2 of his guys. Druid. That droid stays put. We were talking Diablo 4 earlier, so I got Druid on my brain. That droid, that Roger Rogers stays put. That one moves. They both shoot at Bo-Katan, and end up dealing a net of 1 damage between them. Rex activates, he gets a free dash, which gives him a hunker. And when he gets a hunker, he gets to recover. So he will recover and pull one of the conditions off of Annie. And then we're going to take shots at the Roger Rogers over there. Of damage there. Doing 6 damage along with a shove and giving them the droids an exposed token. I control the primary plus 1 other, so that's another 3 points, which moves the ticker very, very, very close to me. If I had been able to injure that droid, that would have done it. Maul injures the Clan Kryz, takes the objective, does a whole bunch of shoves. We'll see what I get. It's Ahsoka primary. However, I'm going here because if I can deal with this guy who's only got like 4 health left, then I take this and that will win me this struggle. So we're gonna go in. We're gonna go in. We'll do it, which is gonna ultimately get rid of the droids after their next activation because they will have 2 woundy bits on them. I also get a point there, and that shuffles over 3 to win me that struggle.
Now we reset.
Yep, and flip our last struggle, which Chris gets to pick because he lost that one.
We're gonna take
across the middle.
Across the middle.
Let's go. His Shatterpoint, where he chooses to activate the Super Commando Mandalorians. This one stays put because of the pin. This one moves across a little bit and is going to take shots at Rex. Said and accounted for, I end up taking 4 damage and a disarm. So again, with the disarm, I can't use my expertise on his next shot. He will claim those objectives, however, and move the cube towards him too. Off with some shots from the troopers into the Mandalorians. So that turned out really well with the troopers. The troopers managed to put like 5 damage on the Mandalorians. Rex has his special ability that right after they shoot, he can then spend a force to activate shoot at the same guys. He does that, managed to dash up here, deals with them. They are now injured, the Mandalorians, which means that the stormtroopers could push up, take control of this objective, while Rex takes control of that objective, giving me 3 points. Moving this back to neutral. I got 1 momentum for injuring a unit, and then another. We each got another momentum because it was in the middle. This draws Kalani from the Shatterpoint deck. However, he doesn't want to activate Kalani yet, and Kalani's got a special ability that allows her to basically go into reserve for free. So he does that. Next card drawn is the Super Commando. So they're going to get to do stuff, and they're probably going to do a lot of work. But they're going to be dead at the end of their activation, because they will at that point have 2 of those on their card. Because when you take damage, you take your health, and then the next time you activate, the damage goes away, and you get 1 of those. And it continues through. And then you get, until that happens, until you have a number of these, a number of injuries equal to that number. Just kind of some short moves in here. I'm going to start here where he's going to attack Rex and hopefully shove Rex off away from the objective. I got 1 here. Chris got a whole bunch more than 1, so he's going to get to go through his whole track, which is probably going to injure Rex. Injures both Rex and the troopers, but manages to get the objectives before the guys fall away and run away from the bullet. Pretty crazy roll. Allowing him to reposition off of that. He had 5 expertises. I do end up shooting at Kalani. I hit him for 5 damage and give him an exposed token. I also retake this objective for 2 points. The Rogers were engaged, so they have a short move away from Ashoka, making sure they maintain their 4-inch bubble from Kalani. And they're going to be shooting at Bo-Katan. Second round of shooting from the droids goes better. He manages to do 5 damage, which is not enough to injure me, so he can't win right now. And then they get a reposition, which doesn't matter because they are dead and gone at the end of their activation. Starting off with the Mandalorians with the Clan Cries. I'm spending 2 force to jetpack. It costs an extra force for every injured token that they have on them. So it would normally cost 1 force, now costs me 2 force. But worth it because I need to get into these positions. So after that, we're going to take some shots. I'm going to start off taking a shot here into Maul. In all that shooting, I managed to do a little bit of damage to Maul and put a pin on him. I managed to put some decent damage on Kalani and push her back away. And then I managed to claim both of those objectives, getting me 4 points for the turn, which puts it back to the middle and gives us both a momentum. Ventress, who will use 2 force to push that Clan Cries, how do I say it? Clan Cries Mandalorian back. Sorry guys, I'm not deep into the Star Wars fluff. I like the game and I like the universe, but I don't know who a lot of the people in this game are. Just gonna leave that out there. You can judge me if you want to. I don't care. I still love you. A whole bunch of movement shenanigans to get up here to Rex, and she's gonna swing it. Absolutely roasts Rex, and then gets a free power where he jumps over here, and we'll take this because they are injured. Also, because Ventress wounded him, Ashoka gets a free move toward her. If she had been able to get into an engagement, she would attack. She couldn't, and the other option is to recover 3, but she doesn't need to recover and isn't in range to help anybody. And stays put, basically. This other Mandalorian jumps up here and then manages to disable Kalani. And then the thing moves towards me. Good deal. We're done here. Kalani injures him, takes him out, whatever. Moves up here, claims this, which will move the momentum tracker onto Chris's side, overlapping, giving him the second treble, and a hearty handshake. Good game, buddy.
Good game, man.
Thanks so much for tuning in, fumbling through this game of Shatterpoint with us. I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. And as always, I'd like to say a big, huge, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to our patrons who support us and pledge to us over on Patreon. You guys are the absolute best. If you enjoyed the content you saw here today and that's something that you would like to consider doing to help out the channel, go over there, check out the link in the description, check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including access to our Discord server. Talk to me, hang out with me, talk about our work, what we got going on in the hobby. some shout outs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out if that's something that you think you would be into. And regardless of whether or not you do that, I want you to know that I am incredibly grateful that you decided to stop by and spend part of your day with me today, rolling dice and pushing toy soldiers around. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.